So for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use my sundown preset, which is the preset for golden hours. So sunset photos are my ultimate favourite photos, but what I find about sunset photos is depending on the day, depending on the time of year, and also depending on the country or the location, sunsets can look very, very different in your images. So what I thought I'd do is do this tutorial because you can obviously use my preset for any type of scenario. However, you might need to adjust the preset to the image depending on all of them factors. So if we get started, I'm going to start with this image here, which is a wedding in England. It's a summer wedding, so this probably is around 9:30 sort of time in the height of summer. We've got this lovely golden sun here, and also being England, you've got the clouds in the sky. So I tend to shoot darker when it's cloudy because I like to have a little bit of definition in the sky. So if you bring it down, you can see all of the light in the sky and yeah, the different colours. So what I will do is I'll put my preset on first of all. So here is the sundown preset. So I really do actually quite like it as it is on that image. I think for me the greens are slightly a little bright, so I might come down and just bring down my green saturation just a little bit here. And also I'm going to just slightly bring down my highlights. I really want to see the definition in the clouds. And maybe just bring my whites down a little bit on this one. So being light and airy, I still like to keep it very light, but with sunset, sometimes it is nice to just kind of give a bit more contrast in the image. So you could even bring up the contrast here. But actually, as a whole, I quite like that one as it is. So moving on to the next image. This is a completely different scenario in that I haven't underexposed the sunset shot here because I don't think it was the clouds weren't that particularly interesting. So in fact, I probably overexposed the image slightly too much here. So that's fine, that's easily fixed. So if we put the sundown preset on here, first thing I would definitely do is bring down the exposure because I have definitely overexposed, like I said. Also for this image, there's a lot of yellow, a lot of like the warm tones in here, and then I think maybe I might just slightly bring down and just make it a little bit cooler because, like I said, it's just a little bit too warm for me, but it's all personal preference. I might also just bring down the whites a little bit and just bring up the contrast because I really want to kind of show the darkness in her hair and his hair with the sun on it. So again, if you just see them together here, the before and after, you can really see the difference here in that I've overexposed just around here, and yet you can see the difference just by bringing that bit of contrast in. But actually, with the finished product, I'm pretty happy with that. Again, you could do finer tweaks. You could come down here, possibly just maybe make your skin a little bit lighter. But overall, I'm quite happy with that as it is. So we're moving on to one of my favourite places in the world for sunsets, and that is Santorini. I just think they have the most beautiful sunsets ever. So yes, here is a lovely image. Again, I'm going to pop the preset on. His suit is coming out, it's moving, jumping onto the other preset. So this is the sundown one here. His suit's coming out a little grey for my liking, so I think I'm going to up the contrast to just bring that black in. And just also again, just lower the exposure just a tiny bit on this one because it being Santorini, you've got quite bright sun here compared to England where it's a bit more of a dull sun. I'm just going to straighten that as well because it's bugging me. I'm a big tweaker with images. So going down, I feel like I want to really get some highlights because I want to see those different layers in the sky here and maybe bring the lightness down a little bit. But I'm going to come back up here and bring up the whites here because in all the walls and her white of her dress. In fact, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to warm this one up a little bit because we're another country and it's feels right. I don't know why, but it feels right. This is the thing. This is a great thing about editing and why I love this part of the job, in that it is very personal. So none of these things you might be completely disagree with me, but hopefully this will help you if you do like the way of my style is. So again, I might just bring the darks down. She's very dark and her skin tone's very dark. I think we'd been out there a while and we've been sunbathing for a week before the wedding, so I might bring up her skin a little bit because on this preset, yeah, it could do with a little tweak in there. But again, I'm quite happy with how that looks. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So moving on, we're going to go back to England, back to sunny England, when I think this is a late August wedding, and the sun is still quite high and it's very bright here. So it's not complete gold now, but it's going down. So if you're going to put sundown on, the first thing, it is going to come out quite green for me, because there's a lot of green in this image. So I probably would come down and just pull the saturation back a little bit here, because I just kind of like it a bit more muted, the greens at sunset. I'm trying to straighten it again, that's me tweaking it. Just lighten it slightly, and again, I kind of like it a bit more contrasty. I'm also going to just tap the whites just to kind of bring that down, then the whites in her dress and on their faces. But again, I'm really happy with that. We've got a little bit of dimension here in the clouds, and overall I think it's a nice bright, light and airy sunset photo. We're going to Marrakesh now for another destination photo, because I just feel like sometimes you get different sun in different countries, even though it is the same sun, it just has different colouring. So automatically on her skin tone, I feel like this sundown one works beautifully. There's not really much I'd change. I might again bring up the contrast a little bit and just maybe darken it a little bit, but do you know what, there's not really much I'd change this. Maybe you could bring the whites down just to show a little bit more in her face. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that as it is. This is the thing, sundown, sometimes it can be a one-click preset, but sometimes it needs a bit of work. So I'm going to chuck this one in. This is actually not sunset. This is sunrise. This is pre-sunrise, so it's a bit grey, but I just wanted to show you, if you pop on the sundown preset and just warm it up a little bit, and then a bit more, and then just bring that exposure down on this image, you get like a really nice warm tone. If you were going for more of a warmer image and you want to use this preset, it doesn't necessarily have to be for golden hours, it's made for that, but again, yeah, it still can look really nice for other scenarios. So I just wanted to chuck that one in while we're here. Here's another example of this is actually like a bit more of an autumn sunset. It is underexposed for this one because I wanted to get a bit more definition. If we whack that in, I mean, again, that actually looks quite nice. I might just lighten it slightly because I have underexposed it for the clouds. Bring down the whites. Again, I'm pretty happy with that as it is, but I might, again, it's always the greens, I might just desaturate them just a little bit, and maybe just bring up make her a little bit more pinky. But overall, yeah, that one looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that one. Yeah, didn't mean to zoom in there. We are going to go to this one. I don't think that's really... Oh, it already had a preset on there. Let's take that one off. There is a lot of green in here, and this is a very bright sun. So automatically this is going to go very, very yellow, as you can see. So, I mean, I don't mind it, but I probably would, again, move down that greens because I feel like it would look better with a bit more of a muted green. I actually really love how the yellow and the green sit here, and how the sun's coming through here. So I might just maybe bring down the whites just ever so slightly, just so you can see a little bit more definition in the where the sun's coming through. I might even bring up the contrast again. I mean, that looks pretty good. Maybe just bring down the shadows, and yeah, that looks pretty nice. And again, if you just want to see it side by side, this is it without, and this is with the preset, and just tweak slightly. I've lightened it so you can see a little bit more. It's a bit more lighter here, and a little bit lighter in the pathway. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with that one. So this is a pinky sunset. So I wanted to bring this one in because this is obviously a lot of blue tones in the sky and going to pink. In fact, we just had a downpour of rain just before the sunset came out, so it's a good example. So if I pop this one on, it's very golden. This is a really good example of golden hour. Again, not much needs to be changing here. I'm just going to lighten it because it's a little bit too dark for my style because I've underexposed again. I'm also going to bring down the highlights and then just bring up the whites here. And I might just slightly bring down the shadows because I want his, and just up the contrast because I want his blue of this to pop a little bit more. Not really a great deal need to do this because it's looking quite nice as it is. Because there's a bit of pink in the clouds, I might be tempted just to go up with a tint on the pink, because you can get a little bit more pink dimension in here. Again, if we just look at the two difference, this one on the left is without, and then you can see it's really lightened it up, and you get the nice gold on her hair, and yeah, I'm happy with that one. So last but not least, a beach sunset, and again, underexposed on this because there was clouds in the sky that have a nice colour in them, so I wanted to capture that. I didn't want to overexpose it, so put the preset on. Already you can see, if it wants to do it, already you can see here that I don't really want to get rid of that in the sky, so I'm not really going to lighten it too much, maybe just a tad little bit. But if I lighten it, the exposure here, because I don't want to lose too much in the sky, I am going to lower the highlights and lower the whites, just so I keep that in. In fact, sometimes I might even be tempted to, oh, it's not here, get the brush and go to my highlights and maybe just kind of colour this in and just lower the highlights or exposure it. Just kind of, sometimes I like to do that just to darken that bit. Keep that, see how I just kind of darken the sky a little bit, but then I can expose the actual image, so you still get the nice definition, but you get a nice light and airy photo, so that you still got that light and airy style throughout the sunset photo. I feel like because it's a beach and there's not a lot of green in this one as well, I can warm it up a little bit, so I'm just going to whack the temperature up, because there's not a lot of green, and yeah, because you can get away with it with being it on a beach. But yeah, there's all the different scenarios. I hope you found that helpful. But the sundown preset does work on most image types and in different scenarios. You just need to tweak it accordingly. So I hope you found that helpful. Thank you very much.